adrenaline get me a little bit choked up back there, and then right after that, my allergies kick in, so I'm like a mess, right? But it is what it is, right? Good stuff. All right, the theme this month is what?
Prospecting.
Well, it's Black History Month, but it's also fun. So it's sort of a duality this month, right? Everybody have a good Valentine's Day?
Yeah, it was good.
Mine was spent driving 2.5 hours to India for the last game of the season, and then all the way back. It was a long drive. Oh, at the wrong time of the day. It was actually over 2.5 hours, and I drive like a maniac. But like when it's that much traffic, like you can only mini maniac it, right? But I mini maniac it. Like my wife's like, yeah, she's driving home. Not that that's better. Like, I'll be straight. We're both like very. I'm not road rage. I don't go off on people. I don't do. But yeah, like if you look up, this is bonus training. Okay. If you go to California code of whatever the driving code is, whatever, if you're in the fast lane, you need to move over for traffic that's moving faster. Says nothing about your job is to enforce the speed limit. It says to move over because what happens is then faster starts passing around you to the right, which is dangerous for everyone involved. So I don't road rage, I don't use my hand gestures, but I will pop a couple of brights on you if you are just trying to enforce the speed and not move it over, right? I'll do that. Occasionally I'll use the far right lane because sometimes that helps you get over. So. But I'm not a tailgater, and I'm not like, I don't get angry, I don't get all welled up. I just like, if you ever walked with me, I walk fast. Like I'm just in a hurry. I've been in a hurry my whole life, right? So it's not anything against the other drivers, but that was a long drive. That was a long drive. So prospecting. That was our Valentine's Day. It was not very Valentine's Day-ish. I did buy my wife one of her favorite appetizers of all time. If you haven't tried it, the Buffalo cauliflower appetizer from CPK, California Pizza Kitchen.
What? Buffalo cauliflower?
It's like buffalo wings, but it's cauliflower that they put in like a buttermilk, and then they deep fry it, and it's got the buffalo sauce and blue cheese crumbles, and it's stupid good. So I got a double order of that for the drive out for her to enjoy. I didn't even have one of them. I just let her do her thing. And then here's another thing that she just loves. If you ever want to do something sweet for my wife, they got a little butter cake at CPK with a side scoop of the vanilla bean. You know. Yeah. She was mad at me for getting that. She unwrapped that first, right? She was like, because she's been cleaning up her diet too. So, but she ate it when we got home, and it's so good. So good. It's not one of these like overly rich decadent. It's just perfect. So anyway, that was our Valentine's Day. I think we've got as soon as we get done here, my youngest has a 12 and a 1, so I'm literally blazing straight out of here. Lily's got the meeting after the meeting, and then a coach from Biola came out Wednesday night. As you guys know, I wasn't here Wednesday night to scout Alex in the first round of the CIF playoffs. And just a funny story, real quick. So the Biola coach is sitting here, and then one of Alex's travel ball coaches is next to him. One of Alex's travel ball coaches is next to him. Both from the same team last season. And then another one of Alex's travel ball coaches from when he was like 7th and 8th grade showed up. And then me, and then I've got another coach that knows Alex that was a coach over at Chino Hills High when the Ball brothers were playing there. And then he followed Steve Bank, the head coach at Fairfax, who's been dominant for him, was the assistant coach there. And I just found out about this afterwards because the Biola coach leans over about 4.5 minutes into the game to the travel ball coach. He's like, hey, he doesn't seem that aggressive. He's like, I'm not sure why I'm here. He's like, he's assessing what's going on. Trust me. Just trust me, right? So we're at home. We're down by 12, like 4.5 minutes into the game. Against San Dimas. I mean, Ontario Christian barely has 400 students there. I don't know. San Dimas has like 1,500 or 1,600 or something like that. So they got a bigger pool to draw from. But and then from that point on, 4.5 minutes on, he scores 15 in the first half. So we go from being 12 down to taking it to the halftime 4 up. right? And then some of you saw in group me, like a minute 38 left in the game. We're down by 2. And this other kid that you've heard me talk about before that I'm mentoring, right? Who he and Alex have known each other since kindergarten. They couldn't be more different personality-wise. Like this kid's been through the worst divorce I've ever seen. His mother lost her life to suicide. Like just, and so his road has been filled with bad choices. Like, but when I look at what he's been exposed to, I don't even know that they're that bad of choices considering what he's been through, right? I think there's a whole lot of kids that would be getting into drugs and alcohol and different things like that if that was their road, right? We're down by 2, they have the ball, this kid's on a breakaway, and so this kid I'm mentoring comes up behind in the breakaway and gets her just in time and just swats the ball, right, from behind, clean, right? And it's like, that was a huge play with a minute 38 left, right? Then his emotions get a little bit the best of him. He's like, how do you like that poo-poo female dog? And stares at the kid. And the referee's right there. Did it! Calls a foul on a play where there was no foul. It was clean. And assesses the technical. So we're down by 2. They get 4 shots and possession of the ball. With a minute 38 left in a high school game, it's NBA, that's nothing. In a high school game, that's an enormous hole. They missed the first 2 shots. Then they make the next 2, so we're down by 4. Now they got possession with a minute 38. We get a stop. We come back, get a basket. There's only a couple. You got a 30-second shot clock, so there's only approximately 3 possessions, right? Comes down to we're down by 3, 8 seconds left, and for those of you who saw in group me, like the ball's out, and Alex has it on the wing. They had a kid literally. This is funny because the Biola University coaches, they're scouting him, right? And for the last, I don't know, half dozen games of the season, literally the opposing coaches thrown every jump defense you can at Alex trying to stop him, my son, right? So it's what you call face guarding or face shadowing a kid. Like literally no matter where Alex is on the court, there's a kid on him like this. But like this kid is clutching and grabbing the whole time and like this. Like my son's a pretty introverted, quiet guy. This kid is like a drill sergeant. Like if they're shooting free throws over there, they're standing 50 feet away from where the free throws are. This kid's like just talking smack nonstop in his face, right? And then Alex tells me after the game that the kids on the bench knew his name, and they brought a lot of fans. It's the first time we've been punked in our own gym where the other fans are louder. The fans knew Alex's name, so they're like, "Hey, Alex, da-da-da, hey, Alex, da-da-da." Like every time he's by their bench, right? He's like, and Alex is like, "Hey, why aren't you in the game? Gotta get in the game, play with us, right?" To the kids on the bench. So this kid's all over him. Alex is out on the wing. He kicks it down to the corner to one of his guards. They kick it back, and like we're just running out of time, and we're down by 3. And one of the forwards comes and sets a screen for Alex. He comes off the screen, comes up to the 3-point line, doesn't get his feet set. Literally, he's like jumping into it and drains the 3 with 8 seconds left to tie the game and sent to overtime. That was crazy. So then in overtime, this kid's in his face, and I was like, "Hey man, why'd you let me shoot that ball? That was dumb. You guys could have gone home. You could have won." Oh my God! The kids are, "Did you see the screen?" They said, right? So then the end of the game, we're down by 1. Alex literally drives the length of the court. Once again, coincidentally, there's 8 seconds left. He gets to the rack, and there's a kid there that's just I'm thinking he's going to take the shot and either draw contact or make it because he's just owned the game, right? He gets to the rack, and he bounce passes to a 6'7" kid on his team that hadn't scored a point all night. Hadn't scored a point, but he trusts his teammate. Like that's the right basketball one, right? It's the right play to make. The kid goes up, misses the shot, but gets fouled. Nice. Makes both the free throws and puts us up by 1. They bring the ball in. We defend the kid bringing in the ball really, really good, but he gets it off to a second kid who had just nailed 2 threes earlier in the quarter. The kid gets a pretty clean look and misses it, so we win by 1. And literally, all the kids just sort of stormed the court. It was awesome. So they lost last night. They're out of the playoffs now. His high school career is officially done. But what I told Alex and my wife Friday morning was, here's the cool thing. At Ontario Christian, one of the neat things is you literally have generations of alumni. So you have great-grandparents and grandparents who went there, whose kids went there, whose kids and and they all show up for basketball, volleyball, football, all this sort of stuff. I said, you've got all of these people that have, he's been a 3-year starter on varsity, have watched your career for 3 years. I go, that's the last time they'll ever see you play basketball. It's not the last time he'll play, but I knew they were going to drive out to Indio last night. They're not going to watch him play in college. Like, that's the last impression they're going to have of him. This is crazy if you know basketball. He missed 1 shot all night.
Wow.
1 shot, 1 free throw. That's all he missed. Like, he was near perfect. It was crazy. Carried the team, was the leading scorer on both teams. It was just a huge, huge win. So that's where I was Wednesday night, and I'm not going to apologize for missing it. I've done a lot of meetings in 22 years. I ain't going to apologize for missing that one. But the Biola coach, obviously his opinion changed pretty quickly, and so they've invited us to come down as their guests today to watch them play. So they're a good D2 school, great Christian school, so we'll see. So Jack has a 12 and a 1 o'clock game, and then we'll go to the Biola game at 3:30. So we've got a busy basketball day as we're starting for Alex the next chapter, and Jack, thankfully, we got 4 more years of high school, so I'm sort of excited about that. Let's talk about referrals. Let's talk about prospecting once again, okay? I got a lot to go through. Thanks for letting me share that. That is fun stuff. I was telling Evelyn earlier, my Alex, I've seen him since he was 9 years old. He's not like, he's a very even kid, doesn't get too high, doesn't, like, my wife literally, as fate would have it, after the locker room empties Wednesday night, we're standing about mid-court, and the kid that was just clutching and grabbing and in his face the whole game, it just so happens we're standing right next to his parents. And he's a senior, and he comes out from San Dimas, and he gives his mom a big hug, and he starts bawling in his mom's arms, right? Well, my wife's sort of mama bear. This kid has been like in her son's face all night and grabbing it, and she's like, well, you know, and I'm like, babe, like, you got the W, just like he's an 18-year-old kid, just let it be, right? She's just wanting to let him have it. Like, yeah, well, it's mama bear, you know what I mean? You just want to protect what's yours, you know? She hates to see kids, like, treating any of her babies that way. I think it'd be okay if they were treating me that way, but, you know, her baby. But I was telling Evelyn this morning, I think probably since Alex has been 9 years old, I've probably seen him cry 8 times maybe. Maybe. He's just he doesn't get too high, too low. And I bet 6 of them were basketball related. Like when we put our dog down last night that he's had since that was one of them. I'm sure there's another one in there, but so last night was a hard night for him. Just closing that chapter. Prospecting. Let's talk about prospecting. So once again, 80% mindset, 20% how-to, right? 80% why-to, 20% skill set, right? So it's, how do we need to look at this? Any of you guys listen to Ed's most current podcast, his newest podcast? I forget the guy's name. The guy was, I think he used to be a comedian or something.
Yes.
Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, really good about being in the present moment and so forth. And so he shared an analogy, and I'm going to mess it up, and I'm going to try and share it anyway, because I think it so much applies to the topic of prospecting and the topic of building a business, really. And so here's what he shared. Let's say you and I are on a journey, like we're on a Hawaii trip, and we're going back way back into the tropical forest somewhere, right? We've been hiking a long time, and it's hot, and it's humid, and we're sweating, and we start getting really, really thirsty, right? And you sit down on like a log or a stump just to rest, and I just hike just a little bit further, and I go around the corner, and I see a big waterfall. And I go to that waterfall, and I get a cup of water, and I bring it back to you. What are you going to think about that water? You're going to think, I certainly, like I'm really, really thirsty. I don't have enough to share. Like I better take care of what I got. I certainly don't have enough to give away to anyone. There's a limited amount of this. Like I don't know where else we could get anymore. This is the only water I've seen in I don't know how long, right? But my mindset is different. I just know like right around the corner there's an endless source. there's so much there that we could give a ton of it away. We could share a ton of it. That there's more than enough for us and so many other people, right? And so, $43,000, give it up for Jim Maloney! The pizzas will be here any minute that he's treating us to. Filet mignon pizzas with lobster tails and caviar accompaniment. Little crystal to wash it down. Sometimes the way we look at prospecting is like we only got the cup. Like we're afraid to make a call because what if I mess it up? What if I lose this prospect? What if I say the wrong thing? What if they're not ready? What if they think this? When there's really a waterfall of prospects, and you like if you were gonna do WFG anywhere in North America, you couldn't be in a better place than Southern California. There's more people that are more opportunistic in general in the way they look at things. But I'm from St. Louis. There was a buddy of mine that was running a pretty good sized office in St. Louis that I used to go visit quite a bit. The hard thing about recruiting people there, prospecting there, was like, people got a job and they're really okay. Like with just a job, you can have a nice house, pay off your mortgage in time, not have any credit card debt, put your kids through school, have a couple of nice cars. Like you have a nice life. You can go out to eat. Like it's easy. But here, the financial pressures, largely because of the government that steals all your money from taxes, it's a little different talk that we'll do later, or unfair share. But here, there's a lot of people who, mindset-wise, are more open-minded towards an opportunity, that are more entrepreneurial-minded, that there's so many big, fancy, shiny things in Southern California, whether it's entertainment or whatever it is, or all these big houses, or right, that it captivates like the creative, entrepreneurial spirit of so many people. Like, this is what I want. I don't want to live in Riverside. I want to live in Laguna Beach, right? It's like everybody is thinking that, right? You couldn't have landed in a better place. This is a waterfall of prospects and recruits. So what I want to do is open up your minds to what does that waterfall look like. So what are the different sources? I've likened this before to, we have blue?
Yes, right there at the bottom of the board. To the right.
Oh, thank you. So, I'm going to mess this up, but I'm going to try anyway, okay? So,
is that a goldfish?
yeah, that's a fish.
All right.
Yeah, I was actually reading the parable of the fish and the loaves yesterday, yes. So, if we were fishing, I want to use this metaphor I've used before because I want you to sort of see the big picture. We could go fishing in a creek. True or not true?
True.
We could go fishing in a pond. We could go fishing in a river or a stream. We could go fishing in a lake. We could go fishing in a sea. We could go fishing in an ocean. Right? Where else? What? A bay. Very good. Where else?
A swamp.
A swamp, yeah. As you know, my love for cooking shows, I was watching a guy who runs down in not New Orleans, but in the deep, deep Louisiana bayou, right? So there's all kinds of different bodies of water we could fish in, not just one. And within each one of these bodies of water, we're going to get different fish. Different size fish, different species of fish, different kinds of fish. Right? And each one of these little fishies, can we call them fishies?
We'll add that next time in addition.
Like different food sources, different types of bait. They're not all attracted to the same type of bait, right? That beautiful woman right up there, this is the bait that caught her. Shocker. This must be like a catfish, like a bottom filler. You don't look like a catfish, but there's definitely a bottom color, right?
Bottle feeders.
Yeah. In other words, if I take earthworms and go to the ocean, it's unlikely I'm going to catch a marlin.
True.
Right? If I use the bait that I'm going to catch marlin with, it's unlikely if I go to a local lake that I'm going to catch any bass or crappie with. Right? So what I need to do is understand that there's lots of different sources of fish. There's lots of different places that they populate. And within each one there's unique species. There are some tributaries that come up from the Atlantic Ocean, like up the Mississippi. You know, there's actually some species of shark that will swim up the Mississippi. Now, they don't swim all the way up to Michigan, but they'll go up a number of miles. Even though it goes from salt water to being fresh water, they've adapted over time where they can go a ways up. You typically would not go to the tributaries of the Mississippi shark fishing, right? That's just not where you would go, but you could find some there. Does that make sense? Like when I was a little kid, I used to, back when kids did whatever they wanted, I would ride my bike everywhere, and I'd have a couple of fishing poles right across the handlebars like this, and we'd ride, and growing up in Missouri, there's all kinds of little ponds and lakes and stuff like that all over the place, and there was an apartment complex a few miles from our house that I'd ride up to, and they had a big lake as just sort of like a big water feature, right? They had tons of ducks in it. I know that because I think it was either at the end of my junior year or at the end of my senior. At the end of the summer, like, young boys just make stupid choices. I'm like, you gotta do something crazy to sort of end the summer because school's starting tomorrow. And I decided I was gonna dive in and like swim, and it just like duck, just duck nastiness. Yes. Right? But we used to go there fishing, and one of the things that we would catch a bunch of were really big crawdads. We'd throw in bait and a line, and then you could just slowly get that crawdad to just sort of walk right all the way up to the shore for you, if you pulled it slow enough, right? Now, that's not typically what you're going to a lake for, but we could catch them there. Okay? So there's all these different sources, and then there's different species that primarily are going to be there, and there's different types of bait that we use, right? What do we call those in this business? Okay, well, you've got one that's called your warm market. Is that a source of prospects? Can it be a source of prospects? Steve was saying earlier, Tom doesn't have the best warm market. There are still fish in that warm market. There's still prospects in that warm market. It's not like the whole body of water is bad. The body of water might need more development. We might need to be more selective about the types of baits that we use. I mean, we might want to not limit ourselves to that individual source if we're not having success, right? There's what I call centers of influence, or COIs. Centers of influence are the ones that we're oftentimes afraid to call, but are oftentimes the... I'll give you an example. I don't know if you guys saw on GroupMe or Instagram about 2 weeks ago, Christine Smith out of the Torrance office, her and Nikki Cannon had an appointment with Michael Cooper. How many of you know who Michael Cooper is? He sure did play. He played Showtime Lakers. Avis. Coop was a big part of the Showtime Lakers. Christine Smith has known him for a long time. But sort of on our chicken list, is Michael Cooper a center of influence?
Yes.
Hell yes is the correct answer. Yeah. He's like, everybody in LA knows who he is, right? Yeah, he's a huge center of influence, right? So she reached out to him as a center of influence, but because she brought Nikki, and then Nikki tells the story of Marshall Falk, who you guys saw at the Welk Bowl, Hall of Fame running back for the Los Angeles Rams, like, now Cooper's interested in doing the business, because even though he has these other businesses and he's got money and all that sort of stuff, there's nothing he can really do that his competitive juices are stoked the way they once were, right? So center of influence, by the way, if you're gonna jot down 5, 6, 8 names right now in the training, rather than just thinking about it, watching me like I'm a talking head, who are the 6 or 8 names that you would write down that are your centers of influence? I'm not saying you have to call them today. I'm not saying we're gonna make you stand up and say who they are, but just quietly, privately, in your world that you have access to, what would those 6 names be? Who would be your 6 centers of influence? Who would they be? Who are the 6 people that are really successful and have a large reach? People look up to them, people admire them, they've got access to networks and markets, they play the game at a different level and you admire and respect them for that. Like in the back of your mind, way back in your mind, you're like, man, when I'm Jim Maloney or Steve Adams or Dean, like, they would be an unbelievable client, right? I don't look at them as a client, I look at them as a center of influence. Who are those 6 or 8 people for you? I'd be a pretty good center of influence. Matter of fact, Coop used me as, Samuel Cooper used me as a center of influence yesterday, didn't you? Right? And I immediately thought of somebody, reached out to them, yeah. Connected 2 dots for Samuel, like Samuel's like, I go, I know exactly the person. Boom, right? He drove all the way out to India.
For real?
Yep. New associates. By the way, our system is designed for everything that I'm going through today. But new associates and their warm markets and their centers of influence, like our whole system really helps to get the right story, the right message delivered by the right person to those people. If you're in the rest of the industry, you're trying to do that on your own. People love you, they want to see you win, they don't want to work for you, and they don't want you selling them financial products and services when you're new. When I say new, I mean like 3 or 4 years ago. Right? Some will, a lot won't. New clients. Did Tim help you from a how-to standpoint get a better understanding of how exactly you can get new referrals, new prospects, or new clients on Wednesday?
Yes.
Did you do a good job of that? How many of you have put that into action? How many of you have actually used that bait and fished that way since he taught you Wednesday? Good. Knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge, taking action with knowledge. So it's great when you learn great ideas, but you will quickly forget them if you don't put them to use. Quickly forget them. You want, like, there'll be an opportunity for you to use them, and you won't even remember that you learned what you learned because there's no muscle memory. There's no experiential knowledge. You've got to put things into place as soon as you learn them so that it becomes muscle memory. So also your situation, you go, oh, I know exactly what to do here. Oh, I know exactly what I should say. Oh, I know what trick or what tool I should go to right now, right? So that's the reason we had Tim come up and talk all about that. Did Evelyn do a good job of getting the 3-way text out to you guys on Wednesday night?
Yes.
Yes? How many of you have used them since Wednesday night? Whoa. Whoa. Okay, so for the rest of today's training, Ellen's going to teach on 3-way text again because you missed it. Okay? You guys ever hear the story of the pastor in this congregation? And the pastor came, congregation's all there, and they're all righteous and holy and blah, 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 right? And pastor delivers this unbelievable sermon. And then, like pastors oftentimes do, at the end of the sermon, he goes out on the steps of the church, and as people are leaving, oh, pastor, that's a great sermon. Oh, pastor, I got, oh, pastor, that was, oh, pastor this, oh, pastor that. And he's like, oh. Everybody leaves, right? Next Sunday, place is full, everybody's like righteous, and suited and booted, ready to go, and pastor delivers sermon. And afterwards, some of the elders were there, and they're like, Pastor, it sounded a little bit like the sermon you gave last. Oh, did it? And he just goes up to the front, and everybody's like, oh, yeah, good message, Pastor. But more of them just sort of scoot by, and a few of them say that because it was pretty much the exact same message he had just given. And then third week comes by, and Pastor delivers a sermon, and it's the exact same message he had delivered for the previous 2 weeks. And afterwards, like some of the elders and some of the parishioners that have been going there for quite some years, like, hey, is Pastor losing it? What's going on? Da, 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 da. He's like, no, I'm going to keep delivering the sermon until we actually see some folks in the congregation actually acting on the message. Because what he realized was he had a congregation of listeners, but not doers. Not doers. Right? He wanted a congregation of disciples, people that were going to take action, people that were going to practice the word, practice in their own lives what he was teaching. Right? That's true in the church, it's certainly true in business too. It's true in our schools. Like the sooner that you put into practice things that you learn, the more that becomes part of your muscle memory, the more it becomes part of your experiential knowledge, and the easier it becomes for you to do it. The hardest thing is doing things for the first time. The easiest time, if you're going to do something for the first time, is right after you've learned it. Because your expectations of knowing how to do it are low. Your expectations of doing it perfectly are low. The longer it's been since you've learned something that you choose to try something, the harder it is. Because you've built up, by virtue of waiting, you've built up this big mental roadblock that it must be hard, it must be difficult, that's why I've waited so long. Because if it was easy for me to learn, I would have tried it already. But I haven't tried it because in my mind I've made it out to be this big hard thing. And the longer I wait, the bigger and harder it is, and the less likely that you will ever try it. The less likely that you will ever try it. So I say these things not to scold you, but to just open your eyes to like, the purpose of learning and growing is like to put these things into action. Here's what I say all the time. Whether it's with Tim's training, whether it's with Evelyn's training, whether it's with my training, prove me right or prove me wrong. But try it, right? And hey, that dumb thing Tim said didn't work. Here's why. Great, let's talk through it. Let's find out why it didn't work. Let's adjust it, or maybe let's adjust the way you're practicing. Hey, that dumb thing that Evelyn taught me really worked. Okay, great. Let's do more of it, right? But just sitting back and taking notes, I prefer you taking notes than not. Just sitting back and taking notes, like literally it's in one ear and out the other. And then this Wednesday will be another new message, then Saturday, then Wednesday, then Saturday, then it'll be the spring sizzler, and then it'll be another meeting, and then it'll be the convention kickoff, and then it'll be another meeting, right? And it's just like, but we don't grow. The way we grow is by when we choose to take action on things. Okay, so new clients. Tim taught you all about that. Your warm market and centers of influence with the three-way scripts. Evelyn taught you about that. What else do we have? Events. Michelle Jarash is at an event today. Events can be a terrific way. It's a different pool. It's a different body of water to find new prospects. You use a different type of bait. One of the things I always do at events, to me when I'm at an event, it's much less about the table I have and people coming to the table. It's much more about me going to all the other tables and prospecting all the other knuckleheads who are there with the table. Now understand this, you have to be really clear. When you go to someone's table at an event, and this is true of a chamber mixer too, or any kind of referral program group, when you go to a chamber mixer or you go to an event and somebody is representing their company, they're not going to tell you how frustrated, disappointed, broken, disillusioned they are. They're going to be like, oh, solar panels are the best product ever. Oh, you should get siding for your house with it. Oh, I love my job. Like, because that's the role that they're being paid to do in that moment. Literally, I'll just hit literally every table. I'll shake their hand and get their card. I usually don't do a whole lot more than that. And then I'll catch them afterwards on the phone, and that's when I start asking some questions to sort of find where's the weak link in their armor. Where is the soft underbelly? Where is it that I can get them to sort of open up and go, oh, hate this job. Oh, my boss is miserable. Oh, I got passed up for a promotion. Oh, they screwed up my territory again. Oh, they screwed with the commission team. Blah, 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 right? But at events, that's the way I do it. Rather than waiting for people to come to me, I go to them. You've got chambers, which I mentioned. Some people are really good at working chambers and getting a lot of business out of them. Some people are really good at going to chambers, shaking a lot of hands, kissing a lot of babies, never get business out of them. And it's because they don't understand that the other people they're talking to in the chamber are putting on this happy face of how much they like their company. Like, how many of you has this ever happened to? You've got a friend. They've been a friend of yours for years. And every time you catch up with them, whether it's on the phone or in person, they tell you, oh yeah, work's good, oh yeah, everything's good. Like, when you talk about their career at work, like everything's good, 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 good. And then you find out at some point that they switch jobs and switch companies, and after they switch, they tell you all this crap that they hated about the company and the job. Has that ever happened?
Yeah.
How many of you have ever had friends that were married? Everything's good, they put on a happy face, oh, they're such a cute couple, oh, da 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 da. And then they go through this bitter divorce, and you find out after the fact how unhappy they were, but they never told you that before they broke up. Right? Ever happened? What does that tell you? That all these friends of yours are liars. They're liars. No, what it tells you is that most people just put on a happy face about their careers, about their relationships, about where they are financially, about their debt, about their health. Most people just put up a facade. It's called the ego, right? And the ego is our way, it's our public persona. It's who I want you to think I am. It's not who I really am. And so, when people say, I'm fine, I'm good, I'm happy where I'm at, no, we're good, we don't need any help financially, oh no, our marriage is good, oh no, like, you have to use something that we call discernment. You just don't take people at face value. It's like, you ever go down to like Mexico and Tijuana and they're trying to sell you stuff on the street? They go, okay, this will be 120 pesos for this. You go, okay, 120 pesos. No, you don't take things at face value. You go, oh, nah, I'll give you 50. They're like, oh, senor, no, 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 no. And you go, yeah, 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 okay, I'm walking. They go, oh, senor, for you, for you, for you. I do 80 peso. You go, 80? No, I might do 60. No, senor, cannot do 60. Okay, no, right, right? You don't take it at face value, right? When people tell you, I'm good, we're good, financially we don't need to have, oh, we already have some money, oh, you know what, I got, no, thank you, oh no, we're really happy, oh no, we're doing good, oh no, I'm up for, like, it's a facade. It's their public persona. It's what they've habitually learned to say because they don't want people, they don't, it's like, pulling back the public persona is like pulling off a scab. It lets you know what's beneath is a wound. I'm hurting here. I really don't like my job. I really don't see much future. I don't see much opportunity. I don't like the way I'm treated. I don't like the people I work with. I don't share my same values. I don't like the way that behind the scenes we talk about our customers and clients. I don't like the way that we treat our customers. Financially, I don't like the way they do things. I don't like the way they mess with my schedule and my hours. My relationship. I don't want to expose you how I'm hurting my relationship. My needs aren't being met. I don't feel like I'm good enough to serve the needs of my spouse or my partner. Financially, we're struggling. We just don't see it, like, but we've been struggling so long, it's our norm. We don't have a, there's nothing to say. I don't want anybody to see this. This causes too much pain. I don't want anybody to see that, expose that. That's what's going on behind the public persona. But you've got to know that and understand that, and we could spend the next 15 minutes Googling all the statistics about marriage, all the statistics about people financially, all the statistics about insurance and savings and retirement and debt, all the statistics about job satisfaction, all the statistics about income and wages. Like, the facts are everywhere. You don't need me to spend time doing that. You have access to it. But you've got to know behind the scenes, not everybody can be in a good relationship, not everybody can be good financially, not everybody loves their job. They're just saying it. It's what the crowd, it's what the masses do, right? That's what they say, right? I was reading, I think it's in Psalms, it's got to be in Psalms, like, we're talking about the shepherd and the sheep, and right, and we lie down like in green pastures, right, and just the peace and the trust that we have for the shepherd. But like, it's like the enemies are out there, but we don't worry about them because we've got the shepherd, right? But it's just like there's this herd mentality of all of these potential prospects, And we've got real answers and real solutions and real ideas to help them personally improve, to help them personally grow, to help them get their finances together, to help them earn additional income. Now, whether or not you personally are applying the ideas that we're sharing is not a judgment on whether or not the ideas have merit or value, right? Sometimes we go like, man, I belonged to this gym for 3 years and I've gained weight in the last 3 years. Well, that's not really an assessment on the gym. The gym could be a world-class gym with the best trainers, the best equipment, the best nutritional advice, right? But if you're just sort of driving by the gym or parking in the parking lot or just going in the lobby and sitting down and watching other people work the plan, then you, right? And like some of us just sort of show up in the lobby and watch other people work, watch Jim, right? 43 grand, look at that. Schloeman, 16 grand, look at that, right? Nas, 6 grand, look at that, right? We watch other people get in better shape. We have access to all the same resources and training and tools and environment, but we've got to put in the work. We've got to put in the work, okay? So just know behind that shell, if you just ask, think about yourself. Somebody asks you right now, a friend of yours asks you right now, so how's it going? How are things going? How's work? How's your husband? How's your wife? How's this? How's that? You just go, oh man, I'm so glad you asked. Crap, we had another 3 grand in our debt this month. Oh, such a struggle. We thought after Christmas we'd get out and it just got worse. Like, there might be like a confidant or two that you share these things with, but then there's a whole bunch of people that they ask. The majority of people you know they ask, you're good, you're fine, everything's good, oh yeah, oh that's great, oh that's right? You may be really hurting, and it's like, oh we're great, oh things are terrific, yeah. Never been better. Does that mean things have really never been better for you? Or is that your public persona? Is that the facade? You think you're the only one doing that? You're the only one doing that? No! Like everybody is doing that. So, who we're about is understanding that behind that persona, there's real hurting, there's real pain, there's real needs. And that there's a real group of people that care about them and have real solutions that can help them. An environment to help them. It's like one of the greatest analogies I ever heard for the church is the church is not a museum for saints. You're right. It's a hospital for sinners. That's why like they love guys like me showing up, right? Not because I'm a saint, but I'm a horrible, broken sinner of a person, right? We're not looking for perfect people. But we are looking for people that aren't happy with where they're at and want to do better. And some of us do. Some of us, it takes a while. Like Leanne told her story not too long. Like it took 3 years before she really did. She was soaking it up, but she didn't really do anything with it for 3 years. And all of a sudden she started doing it. She's like, holy crap, I'm really good at this stuff, right? But it took her 3 years to even try. It's not that she was bad for 3 years. For 3 years, she literally didn't try. I couldn't motivate her, contest, promotion, challenge, nothing would get her to do anything. I'm fine, I'm doing good, I'm just keep coming to meetings, I'm just in the audience. And then 3 years later, she's like, I'm going to try it. She's like, holy crap, that worked. That's stuff they supposed to do worked. I'm going to try it again. It worked again. I can't believe it worked for me. I thought it only worked for them. Right? And all of a sudden, boom, a star is born. Right? Don't take what people tell you at face value with prosperity. If you poke and prod gently, considerately, with love and empathy, not judgmenting or shame, but with love and empathy, they'll open up just enough to let you in and give you an opportunity to invite them to come closer, to come take a closer look. Chambers. Networking groups like BNI, I think is one of them. Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Network. It's certainly not the only one, but that's one of them, right? Yeah. Vertical markets. Who knows what vertical markets are? All right. So when I started here, I spent 10 years in telecommunications. So a vertical market for me was telecommunications. I would call other people that were in telecommunications, specifically the wireless industry, in outside sales, in inside sales, in telemarketing, in supervisory positions, management, executive roles. Why? Because even though I didn't know them, I knew the industry. I knew about what they were making, I knew about what their responsibilities were, I knew the things of their job they probably liked, and I knew the things of their job that they probably hated, because it was an industry. And like, the industry was pretty much the same, company to company, department to department, right? Whatever your company or industry is that you came from, or maybe that you're still a part of, that's your vertical market. Louis understands the church market and the pastoral market, right? Not just the pastoral, but all the different functions and roles of the church market, if you will, right? He's also worked in the university system. He worked at Biola, right? So he understands the roles of people working in a school like that. What do they like? What do they dislike? What, right? Where might those soft points be that he can gently ask about, right? Sam worked in the banking industry, so he knows things about the banking industry, right? Like tellers don't get paid jack, and here's what they have to go through, and here's what the hours are, here's what the supervisors like. Warner worked in the restaurant industry, so he knows high-level restaurants to mid-level, like he knows all about that industry and what it's like. He knows what the waiters are, the waitresses, the hostesses, the managers, the bartenders. He knows they make a lot of money on weekend shifts, and then they go out all night and spend it all because they over-tip. Because that's how they get their income. They got all this cash on them, so they're overly generous, and then they wind up with no cash, right? They have just enough cash to pay their bills, and it's like, but they have fun. They work their shift, and they all go out and party and rage together and have fun, right? It's sort of what they, so he understands that. The allure of it, what are the fun parts, but what are the parts that aren't fun, right? That's your vertical market. You've got an expertise about that that others don't, and you can talk about it in a way, and you can ask questions in a way, because you understand what those soft chinks are, right? It's like I was sharing with somebody the other day about Michelle, and I was sharing that they were, oh, I know who, it was a client that we've been working with. It was CEO Schloeman. Yeah, and so I was talking with him, and he was like, he handles like all of finances and stuff like that for his wife, and his wife's not really interested. But I said, hey, I think the next time would be a good idea to include her. He's like, I'll try, but it'll be hard. I go, try. I think it'll be in your benefit and hers. And then I happen to catch up with him. He's like, oh, I think she might be able to do it. I go, oh, that's terrific. I go, can I share something with you? And I'll say that oftentimes. Can I ask you a question? Can I share something with you? Because then everybody says yes to that, and it opens up a window, right? And I said, I've been running this business for almost 22 years now. And I said, when it comes to this business, I'm like a PhD level student. My wife's like elementary school. Like the inner workings of the way the business works, she just has. She can comprehend it. She doesn't live it. She doesn't understand it near as much as I do. Yet when it comes to me making big decisions in business, I always get her feedback, even though she has no expertise about it. I said, you want to know why? He's like, yeah. I said, because she's got the most expertise of anyone I know on me. She knows me better than anybody. She knows what my strengths are. She knows what my weaknesses are. She knows what my blind spots are. She knows what my tendencies are. She's got a wealth of knowledge about me that she can share with me and help to guide me in decisions that makes me make better decisions than I would on my own. Even though she knows nothing about the subject matter, she knows everything about this subject. I said, your wife is the same with you when it comes to finances. Even though you know everything, she knows very little. I said secondarily, at some point they say something like 70% of women will be completely in charge of their household's finances at some point. So it's good that she's involved in that in advance, at least has some understanding as to why we're doing what we're doing, who I am, all that sort of stuff. And then she begins to get a little bit more versed in those things. She said, I totally agree with you, right? Totally agree with you. So, vertical markets, you're already a subject matter expert in some industry that you've been a part of. Take advantage of that expertise that you have. Take advantage of that expertise that you have. We've got one other market I didn't fit on here. So let's add a lake. Let's add a body of water. Let's go right here. Okay. And this is cold markets. That's, for me, here's what it was. I'm just going to keep it raw. What? Yeah. I'm just going to keep it raw. Like, this isn't the way I would suggest you do it. But my let was so harsh on me that he would be like, you have to make 100 calls a day. I'm like, you've already burned through my warm market. I don't know who to call. But it was like every day. The reason I was failing is because I wasn't making 100 calls a day. And I'm like, finally I just threw up my hands in frustration. I'm like, fine, I'll make 100 calls a day. I don't know who to call, but there's 5 numbers to call just so I can shut them up, pretty much. Either I'll prove them right or prove them wrong, right? And what I literally started doing was, back in the days when I started, we used to have these things called the white pages. Okay? I just go through the white pages. I called the Johnsons. I called all the Washingtons. I called the Garcias. I called the Joneses. I called the Smiths. I'm just making a game out of it. I literally, like, that's as cold as you can get. It's as cold as you can get. But here's what I believed. I was like, okay, if the unemployment rate's like 7%, and 93% of the people I'm calling at least have a job, or at least that much in the market, right? Where some people are calling like Cal Jobs, which I guess is some government deal that you have to sign up for when you're unemployed and you're trying. I'm like, we're not designed for unemployed people. We're designed for people that have a job, they're looking for a part-time job, either to supplement or transition out. So they're calling people that are 93% unemployed. I'm calling people that are 93% employed. It just made more sense to me. We literally, I've told this story before, literally there was a Mozone in the Pomona office where I had 3 guests all by the last name of Garcia who were not related. People thought it was the biggest coincidence in the world. I'm like, I've been calling Garcias for 3 days in a row. There's a lot of them in the white pages, right? It wasn't that like, yeah. I was like, yeah. Right? It's a true story, right? But different baits. Now here's the thing. Have you ever gone fishing with somebody who's a great fisherman? They make it look easy. Have you ever have you ever gone fishing and not caught anything? Like not even got like a bite or a nibble? Okay? Yeah. It's not a personality trait. It's not a talent. It's a skill. It's something that can be tossed and passed on. Both of my boys are fishermen. Why? I taught them how to fish. They had a love for fishing, and I taught them how to fish. I can remember a Father's Day that we went over to Prado, and my wife's excited. The family's all young, and she had the kids buy me all this fishing gear, and I'm like, don't tell her this. Not one of my favorite Father's Days of all times. Her and Lexi are sitting back under the shade of this big tree and lawn chairs, right? I'm down on the bank, because by the time we were finished with the brunch and church and everything related to Father's Day and opening the gifts, by the time we get to Prado, it's 1. It's the worst time of the afternoon to be fishing. We're sitting down by the banks, me and the 2 boys, they're little, and it's hot as can be, and I spend the entire time tying this lure on, putting a new piece of bait on, getting the seaweed on, like just the whole time. The whole time. Oh, they snagged it, they broke it. Now I got to put a new hook on, like the whole time. It was hot, sweaty, I didn't get a chance to fish, but that was part of the process, right? My point is good fishermen make it look easy. Samuel's a great fisherman. He's a fisher of men. Deanne's a great fisherman. She's a fisher of men, of women, right? From a prospecting perspective. It's not that they have a certain personality trait. It's not that they have a certain gift or a talent. They've learned the skill of how to fish. This is a learnable skill. When you're in cold markets, it's harder. You've got to spend a lot more time fishing to find a couple of good fish. There's Missouri. Every year we used to go for the opening of trout season. We would camp out the night before, and then we'd get up before trout season would open, get all our gear together, get right down there. Well, here's where we would go. There was a stream and there was this bridge, and the trout streams are always crystal clear, like you can see right through them. If you're on top of the bridge or a decent, if you're not at an angle where you get the glare, right? Well, right up the stream was the hatchery. So when trout season opens, like, there's a whole bunch of them here that have lived their entire life in the hatchery. They don't know what a hook is. They don't know what bad food is. And so you'd be right here. It was just easy to catch your limit because these fish ain't, they've been out in the home very long, right? They've been coddled by their parents in this safe little haven for a long time. That was an easy environment to fish in. For some of you, that's this market. For some of you, it's this market. For some of you like Michelle Giroux, she's really good in this market, that's where she is today. For some of you like Tim, he's really good at getting referrals out of this market. For some of you, it'll be vertical markets, but you've got to work with your leadership and figuring out what are the right sources for me, what are the right lakes, what are the right waterfalls, what are the right bodies of water, what's the right bait, what's the right script, what's the right test, what's the right presentation. And then you go about refining that skill, mastering that skill. Last thing, because I want to finish. You have more than just a cup. There's a whole waterfall. And it's been there the whole time you've been in the business. And you can be here another 22 years like I've been, like I'll be, and it'll continue to flow. That waterfall's not going to run out of water. It's not. It's not ever going to run out of water. It's going to keep flowing and flowing and flowing and flowing. You just got to be open to receiving. And that's the 80% of the structure. I hope that helps. Have a great weekend, everybody.